Muito bem, galera, vamos aí para um react rápido aqui. Mais um vídeo de Throne and Liberty, dessa vez aqui, ó. Throne and Liberty é verdadeiramente horrível. Primeiras impressões. Vamos lá.
Oh boy, I have just finished a 15-hour Throne and Liberty stream, and the game has some serious issues that I'm going to show you in this video. I also streamed it on Twitch, and if you want to watch me tomorrow, I'll be doing a similar length stream, then you can find the link in the description. For now, let's jump into the game and show you the problems. It boils down to two main things. One of them is combat and the other one is autoplay. And the first one I'm going to talk about is combat. And of course the game is 100% tab target. Like I'm pressing tab here and you can see it cycling through. If I had a ranged ability, which I don't currently have on me, obviously if I did that ability, it would attack whoever I was targeting. Tab target through and through. You can actually also press C and do this thing where you can then select who you have. So definitely 100% tab target. There's no doubt about that. And that's not really the main problem, although for some people that actually is a deal breaker.
Então, cara, eu acho que essa frase que ele colocou aqui, eu tive até que lidar com alguns comentários nos vídeos anteriores, com essa parada de tipo, ah, meu Deus, vocês ficam falando que tab target é o futuro, tab target é horrível, não sei o que. Cara, não tem ninguém. Como já foi falado várias vezes, mas eu vou fazer questão de repetir isso aqui, cara. O problema em questão que a maioria tá reclamando não é o fato do jogo ser tab target, de essa ter sido a escolha, até porque todo mundo já meio que estava esperando por isso, que ele seria ou um tab target ou um jogo híbrido, um jogo no meio do caminho. O problema não é esse, o problema é que mesmo quando você coloca ele dentro desse nicho dos jogos tab target, ainda parece muito ruim, tá ligado? Se você compara ele com os jogos tab target do mercado de sucesso, como Final Fantasy XIV, World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, The Elder Scrolls Online, ele ainda parece muito ruim, tá ligado? Esse que é o problema. Então, a questão toda é muito gosto. Cara, eu acho que o automático, ele intensifica essa ruindade. Ele faz com que fique ainda mais desagradável a situação, porque junto com o tab target você ainda tem um sistema automático que, se ele foi desenhado para ser tab target mais automático, desde o seu princípio, a tendência é que ele seja muito pior do que qualquer outro jogo tab target originalmente no jogo, no mercado. Se você pega, pô, um Arcade da vida, por exemplo, meu irmão, Arcade é tab target, mas vai lá jogar Arcade pra tu ver, paradão. Fica paradão lá no Arcade pra tu ver. Meu irmão, os caras fazem uns combos absurdos no Arcade, é uma loucura a parada. Então, mesmo, o problema não é ser tab target, tá ligado? O problema é como esse tab target está sendo feito. Mas vamos ver o que ele vai falar sobre.
Main problem is just how static the combat is. And first I'll show that with melee, what you do is you like double left click. There is quick to move, but I've turned it off. I'm using WASD. And what you might notice, I am attacking, everything looks sort of fine, but if I try and move at all, I don't actually do any damage. There is no moving in this game. There's literally no movement. If you do any movement, you're not going to do any damage. If I try an ability, it literally like stops you and you can't move. Like I was still pressing the move key there, but it actually wasn't moving. It just did the ability. That's fine in a way, but the movement for me is an absolute killer. It makes this game feel very, very static. If I try this with a ranged attack, it's a similar feeling. I'll not do it on that one because they're going to die a little bit quickly. I'll do it, well, this is the same kind of mob, but not really a problem. So basically it does that. I'm very static. If I start moving, then I'm doing no damage. I have to sort of stand still for quite a while. And it just feels very archaic. It's very problematic. Now, if I'm moving and I want to do an ability, what happens is the ability like roots me in place. It does the ability and then I keep moving. Same thing with this other ability. And it's annoying and slow and it's just stupid. Now, there is another thing that happens that what can happen is that you can do an active...
Então, para quem não tá conseguindo acompanhar, cara, o problema que foi visto desde os primeiros trailers é o fato dos personagens serem cravados no chão, estático, né? O personagem não se move enquanto ele ataca em nenhuma situação. Se ele vai atacar, ele para. Tudo que vai fazer, você tem que parar e atacar. Não existe mobilidade dentro do jogo. E para algumas pessoas, isso pode ser ok. Se você não tem problema... A questão é, se você não tem problema com tab target, não tem problema com o jogo ser automático, e não tem problema do seu personagem estar enraizado no chão quando ele faz todas as habilidades dele, cara, seja feliz, mano. Quando o jogo lançar, seja feliz, cara, e se acabe. Mas as pessoas que não estão gostando do combate, não estão gostando principalmente dos dois elementos. Não é nem o fato dele ser tab target, mas o fato dele ser um jogo onde o personagem não tem mobilidade, tá cravado no chão o tempo inteiro, e o fato dele ter esse combate automático. São essas as reclamações. Aí cada um escolhe o seu caminho, mano. Achou bonito isso aqui? Achou top? Nutelinha gostosinha pra jogar? Ô, meu irmão, seja feliz, cara. É isso.
Block. So there's a block like that. but really you only need to use that when they do like a purple attack. So they do like this purple circle and you have to sort of time the block. That much I actually quite enjoy. You're actually sort of actively involved in that. That one's okay, but for most of the time, these mobs they're going to die too quickly. I'm not going to be able to show you that. Every time you block, it does use your stamina though, and that's sort of like part of the battle when you're doing against good monsters. So not only that though, you'll notice that you can sort of turn these abilities on and off a little bit. And what this means is if I just double click, the game itself, I'm going to show you my hands, the game itself will just use the abilities. You can turn on auto abilities basically, and it just does it for you. For me, this is really the killer of the game. Like, I almost can't forgive it because the combat just feels so clunky. Now, it's worth noting that my Wi-Fi, my Korean Wi-Fi, not actually up to the task here. Look, I'm not going to elaborate, but yeah, you know, I'm sure you can extrapolate some of the data. So my ping is not particularly great. I'm sure that's not helping with clunkiness, but I'm led to believe that a lot of the Koreans are like feeling the same way that I do. So combat really clunky, you can't move and attack, and that would be okay for some like channeled abilities, but even in World of Warcraft like Classic, you could auto attack and move, and it just sort of felt a lot smoother. Here, you don't really have that. Everything feels clunky. And I did a little bit of PvP. It's literally the same thing in PvP. It doesn't feel like it changes. The PvP was sort of like one-on-one rather than, say, 200 versus 200, so I had no idea how this will scale up. I don't think this system is going to get better as the leveling goes. Yes, you might get quicker attacks, you might get less cooldowns, but I can't see any world in which this combat just miraculously starts improving. Now, for my taste, it's archaic. It doesn't really belong in a game that's in 2023. There will be some people who enjoy it. You know, maybe if you're an old school RuneScape fan or something like that, maybe you like the original Lineage games 1 and 2 or what have you. But for me, most people are not going to like this system. It just doesn't feel good enough for this day and age. It's just bad. And then I'm not going to go into the details about every little system that's in this game in this video. That I'll probably do like a longer sort of, not like a first impressions, but maybe like a review or something like that. But the next key problem is autoplay. And autoplay has two interesting modes. There's an online and an offline. And all you do is you have like some, it's called astral hunting. You have some settings that you can sort of change. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to press T. And what's going to happen is I'm going to show you my hands, and the game is literally just going to play for me. The abilities that I turned on to be auto, it knows to use them, so it's just going to jump around, and it's going to do damage, and it's going to kill them. Now, it's also worth noting that there is a little pet with me. That pet is basically using an item that will heal me. So if I'm here and I end up taking too much damage, it'll start healing me. Now, if I run out of those items, you can see it's actually in the bottom right hand corner, then I'll not get healed. So there's a bit of a balance there, whether or not how much you want to pay attention. The game itself can go indefinitely, but whether or not your health can last indefinitely is another question. But maybe it's just worth lasting until you die. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, you might be able to, I could walk off, go have a poo, go...
Fala aí, Percy. Muito obrigado pelo gank aí, irmão. Tamo junto, galera. Vocês chegaram no meio de um react, galera. Estamos aqui fazendo um react de um cara que fez um review do combate do Throne and Liberty. Então a gente tá fazendo isso aí. Mas sejam bem-vindos aí. É nóis, Fish. Muito obrigado pelo sub. Tamo junto. É nóis, galera.
You know, speak to my wife or whatever. What I actually did early today on stream was I went and put my kid to bed. Like, you can just do that while the game is playing itself. Like, I'm not playing this. This is live footage. It's not a video. And it is playing itself. Now, autoplay in itself, not necessarily always a problem, but combined with the clunky combat, it's just going to make this game feel really grindy. It does feel quite slow to level, and there's a few things where I'm like, it says kill 35 of them, and you just know that it's basically for auto playing. Now, it's probably not the quickest way to level. Somebody said that somebody got to level 15 in 2 hours, and I'm like level 16 in 15. However, I do have some like internet issues and stuff like that. Hey, you may have actually seen that perfect.
Então, teve uma postagem de um coreano que foi feita no Reddit, que teve bastante, assim, deu pra ver que ele ainda continua recebendo bastante comentário. E ele fala lá sobre o histórico da NCSoft, tá ligado? Ao longo dos games que ela tem feito agora. E até nos jogos de PC, ela tem trazido essas características de jogos mobile pra dentro deles. Isso inclui o Lineage e o Blade and Soul, por exemplo, né? Que eles têm implantado algumas técnicas de... técnicas não, né? Mas algumas mecânicas de gacha e de combate automático, né? E algumas pessoas usam isso com argumento de, não, cara, eles estão se baseando no Lineage e tal. Só que, cara, uma coisa muito importante que a gente tem que levar em consideração é o histórico, né? Porque o Lineage, ele não ficou famoso como um jogo que tem automático. Ele ficou famoso por muitos anos, garimpou uma fanbase gigantesca, tem um monte de gente que tá agarrado no Lineage há muito tempo por vários motivos, e hoje a NCSoft olha e fala, pô, como é que eu arranco mais dinheiro desses caras o possível? Como é que eu continuo prendendo esse cara aqui que tá de saco cheio já, mas, pô, continua gastando dinheiro ainda e pá. Ela vai implantando essas mecânicas num jogo que já está consagrado. O Lineage já foi consagrado, ele já tem o renome dele, e a NCSoft tá ali arrancando o máximo que ela pode de quem tá ali ainda, sacou? Mas o Lineage não ficou famoso como um jogo que foi criado como um jogo de automático, sabe qual é? O Blade and Soul não ficou conhecido por causa de um sistema de gacha que ele tem. Isso é só o que a NCSoft está fazendo agora para continuar prendendo a galera que já tá lá, né? Deixando o mais confortável possível ou para tentar arrancar o máximo de dinheiro possível deles durante esse processo. Isso é basicamente o que essa postagem desse brother faz isso. E ele fala que na teoria... provavelmente a NCSoft vai fazer a mesma coisa no Throne Liberty, cara. Ela vai trazer pra ele os elementos que ela sabe que tem nos outros jogos que dá certo, né, nesse sentido, e que dá dinheiro pra ela, que é o quê? Modo automático, gacha e pay to win, tá ligado? Infinito, né? E esse jogo tá cheio de elementos assim, ele tem um sistema de pets, tem um sistema de montarias, tem um sistema de guardiões, que inclusive é baseado no Lineage Mobile também, e lá no Lineage Mobile é gacha, tá ligado? Então a chance disso vir como gacha pra cá também é gigantesca, então, cara... é só essa expectativa que você tem que ter. A empresa não tá criando um novo super jogo pra você. Ela tá criando um novo super money grab que ela pode ter, tá ligado? Quais são as características mais simplórias e mais comuns que eu posso colocar nesse jogo para poder arrancar o máximo de dinheiro das pessoas que são fãs, que estão se interessando pelo jogo agora? É isso, cara, que a gente tá vendo aqui. Se você me disser que você tá vendo aqui um jogo super original, com alma, com características inovadoras, uma parada que, pô, renova o mercado de alguma forma, que você tá super ansioso porque você nunca viu nada como isso aqui antes, cara, que bom pra você, mano. Se divirta, saca? Mas eu acho que a expectativa da galera foi muito pra baixo, justamente porque a galera tava esperando alguma coisa de novo. Pô, alguma coisa esses caras vão tentar inovar. Alguma coisa eles vão tentar fazer bem. E ao invés disso, eles estão fazendo, tipo, o básico do básico, o pior do pior, o mais simples do mais simples, e apenas com as características que tem mais potencial de arrancar dinheiro do que de causar uma experiência de gameplay decente pra um jogo de PC. Um jogo de PC, né? Então, cara, sei lá, novamente, se você tá feliz com isso aqui, cara, pô, show de bola, mano, mas só pra você entender, né, qual é a motivação de quem não tá meio puto, né, com o resultado disso aqui, com a promessa que foi feita e o que tá sendo entregue, né, cara?
Attack that I don't think it was on screen or if it was just my imagination. And they're right, the quickest way is probably when you've got low ping to actually change the weapons and start using your abilities on cooldown so that you're actually just like murdering through the enemies. But if you don't have that available to you, then you can do the auto hunting. Now, what you'll notice is that my health is going down. And yes, I'm getting a little bit every now and then, but it's actually going to go down too much. So when people said that you can only use it against mobs that are like 5 levels under, that's not a hard and fast rule. It's literally just if you don't, you will eventually run out of health. Because what's a little bit annoying is you can't set it to use your normal potions. Like it won't use your normal potions. It only uses these extra potions, which are probably going to inevitably be like pay to win or something like that. But for now, there is autoplay. Now, beyond...
Tá ligado? No autoplay ele usa outras potions, não é só potion normal. Por que será, hein?
That, and I'm not going to do it right now because I'll actually log off. If I go into the menu and I try to exit this game, there is offline play. Now that offline play you actually
offline play, man.
You buy the season pass, because in the season pass it's here. It says offline play. So if you get the premium season pass, it's very much like you would in that the free one, the premium one. I know this is similar to other games, but it is what it is. Then if you buy the premium one, you get that access to that offline play. Not sure how often that resets or anything like that, but it's definitely worth noting that is a thing. And you know what I'm going to do tonight? I'm going to go down to the beach where there's some low level mobs and I'm going to let it autoplay for me. So let's see how much XP and gold I get. I've tested it. It definitely works. So it's definitely a thing. So let me just stop the autoplay and actually talk about what we have.
Velho.
We have really clunky combat.
Não, essa aí me pegou, mano. Você compra o passe de batalha pra ter acesso a jogar offline, mano. Você desliga o jogo e ele continua farmando, brother. Meu Deus, mano.
Have a grindy game and you have autoplay. And I think they're all sort of like archaic systems, if I'm honest. The problem is, if you take away the auto combat, you're going to be left with...
Mano, nós vivemos pra ver o termo offline play, brother. Offline play, cara, na moral mesmo, mano. Nós vivemos pra ouvir offline play, cara, na moral, brother.
Incredibly grindy game. And for me, though, these two things are going to culminate in a dead game in the West. I think it's an absolute shambles. I don't think this game should be released in 2023. I think it needs a 2-year delay, and I think they need to rework the combat. It's that simple, and I think without it, the game is dead. But there are pros to this game. Like, I actually think visually the game's quite good. I like some of the look of the mechanics and systems and stuff like that. There's some questionable ones. For example, the marketplace, which is where you do all your trading and stuff like that. This is actually only in this Lucent currency. This Lucent currency, though, is literally a paid currency. Now, you might be able to get it in game, I'm not 100% sure. It's not in the gold currency, basically. It's in a paid currency, which means...
Então, cara, isso aqui tá gerando algumas discussões sobre isso aqui. Eu acho que esse aqui, cara, é um dos poucos sistemas que eu acho que são muito interessantes pros modernos MMORPGs free to play, né? Aonde que a gente viu esse sistema sendo implantado aqui? No Mad World. O Mad World é a mesma coisa. O mercado entre jogadores, ele só funciona com base em uma moeda que você tem que comprar. Então, se você quiser comprar alguma coisa do mercado, você tem que comprar o cash, né? Que é essa moeda em dinheiro real, e aí você consegue comprar de outro player aquilo. E o player que está vendendo a coisa no mercado, ele pode vender para conseguir essa moeda. E existe uma loja de cash aonde você só usa essa moeda. Não é igual o Fion, cara. Não é o Fion, tá ligado? Não é. Porque é uma moeda. Ela é uma moeda mesmo. É o preço do item, entendeu? O item é usado com aquela moeda. Então, aquela moeda que eu vendi, por exemplo, por mil aqui. O cara que vendeu, que não gastou dinheiro, ele vai vender e vai pegar a moeda de cash de volta, entendeu? Então, eu acho que é uma sintonia muito interessante, cara, entre o Pay to Win, tá ligado? Se fosse só isso, se não tivesse o autoplay, se não tiver um monte de mecânica de conveniência e tal, esse monte de merda, se for só esse mercado aqui, como é, por exemplo, no Mad World, eu acho que é maneiraço, cara, porque é uma forma de você gerar dinheiro pra empresa, de você fazer o cara que é free to play vender o item e conseguir a moeda de cash, comprar item de cash sem ter que botar dinheiro, e você também beneficia o cara que quer ser pay to win. O cara que quer ser pay to win, ele vai ter que comprar no mercado de outro jogador a parada, tá ligado? Então, assim, eu acho que é uma interação interessante, cara. Eu acho que é uma interação que, pra jogo free to play, eu acho que seria muito mais da hora a gente ter um mercado assim, como base, do que ter, por exemplo, conveniência, buff de XP, passe de batalha com off-play, caralho. Eu acho que é muito mais interessante, sacou? Pelo menos eu tô acompanhando isso no Mad World pra ver como é que vai ser. Não sei, cara, pra mim parece uma mecânica interessante, tá ligado? Isso sempre mantém uma dependência de ter alguém caixando o jogo, então, a longo tempo, alguns servers vão de F. Isso se você tiver esse sistema de F, né? De servidores, né? Se for um servidor só, um servidor único, tá ligado? For um servidor único, todo mundo... Aí o que vai ter que acontecer? O que o jogo tem que ter é o interesse, né? Da galera comprar itens que estão sendo vendidos por outros players. O jogo tem que ser interessante, né? Se não tiver gente interessada em comprar, aí foda-se, né? 35% de taxa, humilde. Aí tem uma taxinha aqui, né? Nesse caso aqui ainda tem uma taxinha, né, cara? Daquele jeitão, né? Vou acompanhar assim, cara. Tô ligado nela aqui.
You can sell stuff for in-game currency. So you can get in-game currency, but someone somewhere is actually buying in-game currency to buy this stuff. And that's inevitably going to be pay to win because you can get gear off here, you can get resources. It's a rabbit hole and they've gone too far down it, I think. So how would they fix this? The first thing they need to do is make it so that you can attack on the move. The game is far too static. Like, it's absolutely incredibly static and I hate it. Like, it's just really boring to play in a way. There's just too much static combat. You can't move. I'm just going to let it autoplay because why wouldn't I? I'm here. But the autoplay is going to do almost as good a job as I would. It's just not going to be quite as quick. Like, it's just not good. It needs to be so that you can move.
Throne and Liberty, galera. Throne and Liberty.
So I can run around and I can attack. There's probably some cleave, but really it just doesn't go far enough. Like, there should be like a combat mode where I can still do damage, but maybe I'm not going quite as fast or something. It just feels really clunky without it, in my opinion, and I really think that it's a big deal breaker. So they should make it so that you can move. Basically, your legs and your body should be not quite independent, but you should be able to attack and still move. That would fix a big portion of this game. I'd say about 50% of it, or maybe 33%. And the next thing is, obviously, in the West, I do not think we should necessarily have this astral hunting, this auto hunting thing. I know it's common in other games, but I think a game you're trying to sell to the Western market probably shouldn't have it. But it's not as simple as just removing it, as I said, because if you do just remove it, you're going to have XP issues because the game's quite grindy. I think with an expectation that you will use it. And then if you don't use it, then you're going to have to do it yourself. And if you're doing it yourself with bad combat, that's an issue. So you sort of need to fix the combat and remove it and then change the actual XP per level you get and stuff like that. The whole XP curve needs to change. Without those two things, this game is going to be an absolute failure in the West. I completely believe that. I don't see any way that's not the case. There'll be some players and there'll probably be some whales, but I'll tell you right now, that's not for me. This combat is not for me. A lot of people are saying, like, what did you expect? It's similar to Lineage and stuff like that. You know what I sort of expected? A slight modernization. This feels like regression. It does not feel like we're getting any better. It feels like we're getting worse. I am a little bit worried about Amazon. This is literally an Amazon Games article, and they wrote when they got the license to...
Aí como é que você não fica puto, mano? E essa parada aqui é outro ponto, tá ligado? Porque a galera tá falando, vocês estão criticando, não tem problema ser tab target, mas, meu irmão, e a expectativa que foi criada em cima desse bagulho aqui, velho? Quem não lembra lá do vídeo do Lazy Peon? O Lazy Peon fez um vídeo que teve mais de 500 mil, eu acho, de visualizações, que foi reagido pelo Asmongold, que não tem quantos milhares de visualizações, aonde o título do vídeo era o jogo que vai destruir o Black Desert, porque o seu combate é top, tá ligado? Aí como é que você quer que a galera não crie expectativa em cima? Aí o cara, pô, o jogo que vai destruir o Black Desert, o combate deve ser top. Aí o cara abre e vê isso aqui. Aí como é que você quer que o cara se sinta, tá ligado? Aí vem a própria Amazon que vai publicar o jogo, aí coloca, porra, um jogo de aventura de combate de ação. Aí como é que você quer que a galera não fique puta quando abre o jogo e vê que o jogo tem automático, tem off-play, offline play? Aí é complicado, né, velho?
This game, they said Throne of Liberty is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game that combines story-driven adventure and action combat. Now, the story I've been mostly skipping. It looks well told. I'm not really going to focus too much on it. It's not really what I'm actually checking in this test. But I'll tell you one thing, it ain't no action combat. I was skeptical when they said it, and now I think it's an outright lie. I'm hoping it's an accidental misleading, but that's crazy to me. If you're going to say that blocking occasionally is action combat, then we're in absolute cloud cuckoo land, in my opinion. I think this is sales puff gone wrong, but they shouldn't have said this. Now, Throne of Liberty did tweet this, which I'm guessing is actually an Amazon account, and they do say that the Korean beta test is live. We appreciate all the hard work in the development of this game by NCSoft, and we're looking forward to working with them as the game evolves. A lot of people are picking up on this phrase, the game evolves, because this game needs some serious evolution into probably a completely different game. The combat is just that bad. And honestly, I'm a little bit sad about it. Visually, I think the game is great. I've got a bit of lag, just ignore the lag and frame drop and stuff like that. It might even be a little bit blurry because I'm using DLSS, because obviously, you know, it's a computer hog at the minute because of what I'm doing, but never mind. And yeah, visually the game's great. Some of the systems, apart from the fact that they'll maybe like possibly pay to win in future, which I can't really comment on too much because I've not really, you know, I don't really know 100%. But I actually really like a lot of what the game does. I really like it conceptually. There's areas, for example, early today, I think it was actually in the north here, there's like a wolf area. Now, there was effectively a single player one where it was just a non-PvP. It was just who can kill the amount of wolves and get the tails and hand them in. And the rewards you actually do need to get more spells. I was like, oh, that's okay, a cool system. And then 2-3 hours later, it became a guild event. And then the guild event is PvP. It's guild versus guild. So I killed an AFK player, and then anytime I actually fought a live player, they killed me, probably because of my inability to actually do my abilities and I was lagging out, or possibly due to a skill diff, but who cares. But I actually enjoyed that system. It sounds like that's going to be the case for world bosses. There's quite a lot to actually enjoy. There's like a cool puzzle system, but I don't think people are going to get to it because of the combat and because of the autoplay. It just feels like squandered potential. I want to show you the systems. I want to show you how you get extra spells. I want to show you how you level up your items. I want to show you this and that. but honestly, it's sort of been taken underneath me. My feet have been swept underneath me. I don't really have the impetus to do that because there's just such a glaring problem with this game, and I think the hype for the game is going to be literally next to minimal, if existent at all. We have a problem and they need to solve it. There's going to be some of you who are going to defend it and be like,
eu vou assistir a live 11h sim, galera. Vamos sim.
If they want to keep it and they want to keep that niche, crack on. However, I think the majority of us are going to say this isn't a game that should be released in 2023. You need to sort of change this. We know NCSoft can make good combat in games because they've done it before. If this had Guild Wars 2 combat, everybody would be happy. Do you know what a lot of people have been saying? They've been saying it's a mobile game on PC. And you know what? It's really hard to disagree with. And I don't think it's just that because of the auto move. I don't think it's just that because of the auto combat. It just feels like that. It's almost like it's a game that they made and they were like, we want this to be a mobile game, but oops, we've actually made the graphics too good. It can't be a mobile game. Well, let's just put it on PC. It's so close to actually being good, but so far away. I'm actually convinced that this game needs probably like a year or 2 year delay, because if it doesn't get that, it's not going to get anybody playing it. I don't want to sound harsh or cruel or anything like that, but the game's a failure right now. The combat's just not good enough. Forget the auto hunting. The auto hunting almost doesn't matter because there's no reason to play the game because the combat's no fun. Somebody in the chat said you're playing an MMO simulator. Sort of what it feels like. Apparently Amazon paid, was it millions of dollars to get access to this game and to be the publisher? That is looking like a bad financial investment. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be surprised if you don't. If you want to support me, then becoming a Patreon or giving me a sub over on Twitch would be the best ways right now. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news if this is the first you're hearing of it. I apologize. I hope you have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye. Oh.
É isso aí, molecada. Então é isso. Daqui a pouco eu vou postar esse react aqui no YouTube e eu espero que tenha ficado mais assim, porque tem muita gente achando que é só puro hate, tá ligado? Em cima da parada. E não é puro hate, cara. Tem muita bandeira vermelha nesse jogo, saca? Não é à toa que tá todo mundo puto, né, cara? E tem muitos erros por parte das empresas envolvidas, não só da própria NCSoft, mas até mesmo da Amazon. Então eu espero que esse vídeo tenha esclarecido e eu tenho certeza que ele não vai ser o último, tá? Então se preparem que daqui a pouco deve pipocar mais um por aí. Só ficar no canal de Reacts que ele já chega pra você também.